Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm BC Clark with the Business Connection. As you know, I interview business owners across the state. And today my guests are Clarissa and Dan of Setting D Ranch. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about Setting D. And when did it get started? And it's a family ranch, so just let's talk about it.
Yeah. So the actual ranch is from Dan's family. Okay. You want to lead off with it?
My grandpa started the place where we live now. He actually built the house that we live in now.
Oh, that's so cool.
My folks lived in it, and then when I moved back, they went ahead and built a new house. So we're the third generation to live in this house. It was built in 1942.
Oh my goodness.
And so every time somebody moves in, they remodel it. Clarissa and I remodeled it before we moved in. And then it's been about 5 years now that I've been back, and my dad's slowly stepping out, and I'm stepping in more as he steps
awesome.
back. So.
And did you love it as much as you did when you were like younger and your granddad and your dad was in it?
Yep. I always knew I wanted to come back and ranch. We do a little bit of farming, and the more I take over, the less farming we do, and the more cattle stuff.
The smart rancher.
Yeah, I've never been much for farming, I guess. So we tore up some of our crop ground and put in more grass, and kind of doing the opposite of what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's great. I think that you have to look at the times, and see what makes sense. Because, that's what happens a lot of times with small businesses. They get into and they stay. They never make anything, they never do anything different. They don't look at trends, because you have to look at trends to see what you should be doing now, because they never stay the same. So I think that's smart to look around and say, you know what, let's do this because this makes sense. And I know that you do other stuff, so what other stuff do you guys do?
Yes. So we have the cattle, and the Herefords and the Angus. Excuse me. We also have a couple Charolais, the white cows, because we give them to our niece and nephews, and so then they can spot them out there amongst the red and the black cows.
Yeah.
And then we have our pigs, of course, and then on top of that, I work at Grow, Nebraska.
Okay.
And then we also show horses and do all kinds of other things. So we're always forever busy.
You're moving.
Exactly.
So where exactly is Setting D Ranch located?
We are 7 miles south of Litchfield, and Litchfield is located north of Kearney.
Okay. So about 7 miles north of Kearney, or no?
30.
30 miles north of Kearney. Yep. Oh, okay. Well, I love Kearney, you know that.
Yes.
So I have no problems going there to shop.
Yeah.
And I can come and shop for meat too. So
yeah, exactly.
I can go one place for the jewelry and come over there for the meat.
Yeah.
I can wear that just as well.
That'll work.
So let's talk a little bit about, because I'm like I said, I'm thoroughly blown with this meat, and I want to just do a plug here. But I started, when did I start? Like last month or March, was it?
Yeah.
Was it March or April? One of those days.
One of those
months.
Yep.
So anyway, this year, I started, and I think I can't remember how you and I think through Janelle.
Yes, through Janelle.
Well, I normally would go to the store and get my meat. But since I met Setting D Ranch and Clarissa and Dan, I order everything when it comes to meat from them. We were just recently talking about beef bacon, and I'm not quite a fan, but they can get it for you if you need it. And they also have oxtails. Now, I'm going to tell you, be careful on the oxtails, because they're extremely tender. They're delicious, and I try to keep ahead of the game and buy most of them, so you may not find them when you go for them, first of all.
Most of the time, they're sold out.
Most of the time, they're sold out. For those who really know what oxtails are and how to cook them, they won't last very long. So, and you guys deliver and send stuff out to all over the country, and that's phenomenal to be able to do that. Are you guys doing any vegetables as well?
No, we haven't done that, but we have joined a small farmer's market in Kearney that's actually trying to operate year-round. And one of the ladies there has a greenhouse, and so, to be able to offer that to the surrounding areas, a delivery pickup
and
service.
Even out of the surrounding areas.
Yes.
I'm talking about myself.
Yeah.
So, no, that's great then, because usually, you get the fresh vegetables at the certain time, and then other than that, you have to get frozen or cans
Yes.
and stuff like that. So to be, you know, when I lived in California, you could get vegetables all the time, and I actually love to just go and do that. So I would love to be a part of that. If you guys get that going, I
Yeah.
think that would be really good.
Yeah.
So I always like to hear more about the family and how it got started. I watch all these shows and I see them doing the farmhouses that was been built since the 1900s and what have you. And I'm thinking, how cool is that? And you're right, each family that moves in, each generation that moves in, they do remodeling, but they keep some of the old. So tell me what you kept that was already there that you wanted to bring into the new place when you guys remodeled it. Was it anything significant that you guys wanted to keep?
Well, we kept basically every same wall configuration in the house. We only took out one wall. We just didn't want the built-in dressers
Yeah.
because that was a thing, and we needed more storage in the office.
Yeah.
Otherwise, well, I accidentally ripped out the carpet in the living room so that we could have the hardwood floors back.
I love the hardwood
And
floors.
then we took and made our own borders along the wall out of the barn wood from his grandpa's old barn.
Oh, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, the cool part about that barn was it used to be the lumber building in Litchfield back in the day, and then he had it. So, you know, just to be able to take pieces from all those businesses and then
And
put it in our
put it-
house.
Oh my,
Yeah.
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's great. I love when they take in from the old and put, you know, and incorporate it in the new, because it just keeps that feel of the generations past with the generations now. And I think it just makes it kind of excites me when I see that. I don't have any history like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think when I look at the farmhouse, I think it's just so much there that I don't want to farm, but
Yeah.
but I like the farmhouse style, you
Yes.
know. And so now, and I'm just going to ask some more questions. So when was your best time as a farmer? You know, like when did you really say, okay, this is going to work. We're going to do this. It's going to work. Or did you have a time when things were really, really slow when you first got started and you were trying to build? Because, you know, no matter who's had it before, you always have to build, you know, your time, your brand and stuff like that. What, did you have any of those issues when you first got started?
Yeah, from the ranch side, I would say we did in the beginning, you know, just getting moved back and getting more cattle onto the place. And they take time to pay all those loans off. So
Yes.
being able to balance that, and then, you know, a piece of equipment broke down or it didn't rain, so you didn't have enough hay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then from the business side, as far as selling the cuts, you know, we always sold by the carcass. And then I just kept seeing a need. Litchfield's probably, 400 people maybe?
Okay.
And the older ladies in town would be like, can I just get a roast?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, like, I legally can't do
Two
that,
states.
you know? And so I just kept thinking about it, and I'm like, let's just dive off the edge and do this.
Yeah.
I think we thought about it for maybe 6 months, dove off the edge, and opened up this part of the business. And yeah, in the beginning, it was very slow, and people get excited for a little bit, and
Yeah.
we never knew, like, what cuts you got. And
Yeah.
then the one challenge, too, is the locker. They're USDA inspected, but they're used to just labeling it, you know, like something simple like roast.
Yeah.
And so
Didn't
to
know
the
what it
general
was.
consumer, if they don't understand like where that's coming from or what, you know, they're looking for specific cut names at the
Right.
grocery store. So learning to work with the locker and finding out the
How to
common
label
known
better.
names and getting it labeled so that people, and the education behind it, you know,
Yes.
we've been trying to educate
Yeah, 'cause
people as
that
they
is,
buy
yeah,
it.
that would make sense. Well, you know, I always thought whenever I wanted to get like meat from a ranch or something, it was always, do you want a quarter of a cow or do you want a half of a cow? And I was like, well, what does that look like? You know, I
Yes.
was like, I don't know if that's what I need. And then when I found out you guys did, you know, you can just buy what you wanted. I'm like, yes, you know, so let me take, you know, 3 of this, 4 of this, 8 pounds of that. That makes it so much easier. And I think you're right, because there are those who will want to buy a half a cow or a quarter or whatever. But there's those who will say, let me get, you know, 5 packages of beef and 5, you know what I mean? So you're still making the sale. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And so I think the ranches that don't, you know, kind of do that, because there was one other just before you guys, I was like, no, you got to buy, you know, a half or go in with somebody. Well, you know,
Right.
suppose they don't want to go in.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing? And so I think that we have to, and this again, and the reason why I ask that is because you know, I work with a lot of small businesses, and a lot of times, like I said, sometimes what people will do or say or think is that they have to keep things, you know, kind of rigid. You know, I can only do this, I can only do that, and sometimes it can cause you to lose business. So you have to look and assess what that looks like. Does it make sense? Will it be profitable for me? And I think that when they do that, they find, well, you know, let me try it, you know, and because you do. And so that's what you guys did. And I bet you're seeing a lot of sales with this type of thing where people are buying, you know, as opposed to, I mean, you still want to buy the cow,
Yep.
but they may get it in different pieces,
Yes.
which as long as the cow goes, we're
Exactly.
good, right?
Yes.
So I think now it's probably a cost savings if we did like a half a cow or something like that. So is there a savings to do it that way as opposed to the, you know, the different, so many pounds of this, that, and the other?
There is.
Yes,
Okay.
it'll be a couple dollars cheaper if you would just buy a quarter or a half per pound.
Yeah.
One thing a lot of people I think miss is we charge hanging weight, so just what the carcass weighs hanging in the plant.
That's
And so if it's 800 pounds or 900 pounds, a lot of people think, okay, if I'm getting a half, I'm going to get 450 pounds. And the one thing you got to remember is that's still got all the bone, all the ribs,
Everything already
everything in there.
it.
So you're going to lose another, you know, 50 or 60, or get another 50 or 60% off of that.
Yes.
And so you don't get that whole 800 pounds. Sometimes that sounds really scary to people.
Yeah.
But by the time you pull it down,
'Cause
it's
you gotta-
not as much.
Break it into things, right?
Yep. By the time you cut it up, and you know, we were talking about boneless ribeyes here
Yes.
earlier. You know, you're losing that weight of the bone.
Yeah.
If you don't take your ribs, obviously you're losing some rib meat.
Yes.
There's a lot of
yes.
police trimming that still needs to get done there.
Oh.
But it's a little cheaper to go that way.
To go
but,
that way.
Even in our neck of the woods, we find people, you know, everybody in our area knows somebody they can get a half from. But maybe they run out of hamburger, or they
Right.
run out of steaks. They want some steaks for Christmas or something.
Yes.
And even that, we try and provide a service for that too.
Yeah. Oh gosh. You know, I didn't think about that because you're right. So once you take it off of there and cut it up, it's a whole different ballgame, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And so if you said, I want the half a cow and all the scraps, how does that work? How does that work? So you're getting, you know, the steaks and the fat and the scraps. I mean, what is that? What does that look like? I mean, if someone said to you, you know, I want, you know, this cut into, I would never know what that is. So I'm just saying, you know, I want steaks, I want some ribeyes, I want whatever, I want some beef ribs, I want whatever, and then I want all the scraps. So how do you do that? You just put that on, and that becomes part of the pounds that you purchase?
Well, they'll cut it however you want it cut. You know,
Okay.
you call the locker and they would walk you through what
Oh,
you're
so
looking
wait a minute.
for.
No, so that's another thing. So if we don't get these like this, we have to go to the locker.
Yes, that's how we operate. Some businesses will just have it cut a certain way for you and it's all one package deal, but we like to give people the options.
Yeah.
You know, if they know what they want or even if they don't, it's a good way to get introduced to different cuts of
Right.
meat that you maybe never have used.
I like that. I love the teaching aspect of that.
Yeah.
I really do.
And so when you go there, depending again on what cuts you get, a lot of, so say you don't get your beef ribs, they'll trim the meat off of that and any of the other scrap, and they won't combine very much fat. In theory, your animal should be good fat cover. What do you think? Maybe like an inch, probably
Okay.
on a good fed one.
Okay.
And they'll take that and just put it in your grind. So that'll
Oh,
be your
okay.
ground beef.
Your ground
or your
beef.
ground
Oh, okay.
hamburger, I should say. There is a difference between ground beef and ground hamburger as well.
Oh, okay. So what's
Beef
that?
only comes from the chuck, like your
Okay.
roast.
And
so they
that's
call it
leaner?
ground. It would be leaner, yes.
Okay.
And then anything else, all your trimmings go in to make your
And that's the
hamburger.
73%.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you're seeing at the store.
Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna, yeah, I
Yeah.
know that. Oh, okay.
Which
So-
is the same as ours. Ours
Yeah.
is ground hamburger as well.
Okay.
But our fat content on our animals, because we have to just eyeball it and
Sure.
and see, you know, look at the condition of the animal and decide when they're finished.
Okay,
On
I
our
see.
feed
On
programs.
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you know, there's so many things about ranching and meat and all that stuff. You just don't have a clue. But I just know it looked like a lot of work to me, so I I don't want to be in it. But and I grew up with a large family, so being like second to the oldest and a girl, I got most of the work came to me and the babysitting and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. So when I look at a farm, I'm thinking, nope, No, I don't want to do chickens. I don't want to do any of that stuff early in the morning. Feeding horses, no. So, but I love the meat. It's fresher. I think it's safer than when you don't know what you're getting out of the store, and so this way, to me, it seems like it's better, and it tastes much better. So my family is really happy and excited that we're doing this now. So we're saying, so what are we going to get next? It's like, what are we trying next? Okay, have we done this? Brisket is a huge thing. So if I was to get a half of a cow, how many briskets? Is it just one?
Mm-hmm.
Just one.
Okay.
Just the half of the brisket.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so you get one brisket, and then you can get beef ribs. So break down for me what it would be if someone said, okay, I want a half of a cow, I want a brisket, so I thought it was like they had multiples in one, but okay. So one brisket, and then you have beef ribs, and there's only so many in there, right? So beef ribs, and do you cut those a certain way? Like...
They do. I don't know how they cut, what cuts they'll offer, but they did like a short rib. That's
Okay,
what
on
are
that
in
one.
there. So
Okay. Yeah, so now let me just tell you this. There's a barbecue place here, and my daughter, she doesn't eat pork, so she said, well, I'll have the beef ribs dinner. And so she got this pan, it was to go, and she said, oh, this must be your pork ribs. So anyway, when we got home, it was actually 4 beef ribs. Now, they look like Flintstone bones, and the meat, to me, they lost money because what we paid for it, besides it was tough as hell, it wasn't done right. So, I just made a call to them and just was kind of talking to them. Because sometimes, people think that they're, they don't know.
Right.
And if you don't tell them, they won't know.
Exactly.
Some people just won't ever go back there again. But I like to, and because I work with small business, I wanted to make sure that they knew. I said, this could have been like 2 short ribs on one bone. and it could be cooked, it could cook a little longer. So I don't know if they're just putting it on the grill. And you can't do beef ribs like that.
no.
You have to do some preparation, and I think you need to saute them a little bit or pre-boil them, to get them tender. And so, so when I told them, I was like, really? Well, people don't order many. I thought, I can see why. But they really lost because it was a lot of meat. And I took them home and redone them, and they were good. But it was a lot of meat that I felt like they lost on that. But anyway, so the short ribs, the beef short ribs, and does the ribs in the cow have a long bone?
Yes.
It does. So it goes all the way up the side of the cow.
Yes.
I'm learning a lot here.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that because I like to learn. I like to kind of know stuff. And so how many beef ribs is in a half a cow? 8?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. Do you?
No.
I've never.
Yeah, ask all kinds of
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
I'm thinking, and it's just me. I was a programmer, so I try to look and see. Okay, this is a half a cow, and I don't know where the beef rib is. Is that at the front or the back?
They should be more at the front.
In the front.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's going to be the longer part of the rib that covers where the heart and their
Oh,
lungs
okay.
are.
Okay, so that's
Yep.
okay. That's that. And then so the slide, I would say 8 or 9 ribs.
Probably.
So suppose someone said, I wanted the ribs whole on the stick. So they'd be about this long?
Yeah.
I was going to
But
say they're going to be more like that.
Yeah, they'd be pretty big
Yeah,
to
they'd be-
package. And the bottom, I would guess half, wouldn't have a lot of meat
No,
on
it'd
them.
probably just be bone.
Just be
Yeah,
bone.
just
Okay, so
mostly
it's
be
mostly at
bone
the top,
and
right?
Yep.
It would be like a Fred Flintstone dinner.
Yeah.
That's like what we got.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the bone was about like that. And then at the top was the meat. There was
Yes.
nothing at the bottom
Yep.
of the bone. And so just learning that stuff, I was like, I didn't know a beef rib came like that. Because in the store, you don't see that.
Right.
It's like a flat, like they take all the meat off of it.
Yeah.
It's nothing but bone. So I'm usually looking at this like, is this how it comes? What happened to the rest of the meat? So what do they use the rest of the meat for?
Well, either it didn't have that much or they trimmed it off. It might have been really fatty too.
Okay. Or they put it in some other meat?
Put it in the grind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. Well, I tell you what, I'm ecstatic to learn all this stuff because I like to know where things come from, and I like to be able to share that information. But I love that you guys do a lot of teaching with what you when you're selling your product, because even the first time you was telling us things that we didn't know. And so then that's when we started, like, okay, well, let's find out more, what's the other kind of meats that we can get? Like, what does a beef cutlet look like, What does that look like? Is that like a pork chop?
Well, that's a good question too. I have actually never heard of that one. I suppose
So maybe
it would
there
be,
isn't. I know there's a pork cutlet, but I don't
Yeah.
know if there's a beef cutlet. But
it
I
would
just
probably
kinda,
come out of a roast. I would
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah, I would
that
think.
would make sense to me.
I don't know. We're gonna have to Google it. We'll have to ask the butcher.
You have to go back and say, hey, I got a lot of questions for somebody on the other end who's buying meat. So beef cutlet, beef bacon, those are a couple things that I think was really good that I wanted to talk about. But also, so you do pork chops and
Yes.
things like that. So I wanted to get into that part of the meat too. Chicken, because chicken seems to be scarce right now. I need to order chicken. So how is chickens at your place?
We have only some exotic chickens that I have as pets.
Oh,
That's it.
really?
Yes.
Unfortunately, to go into poultry,
It's a whole nother
it's
ball
a whole
game.
It
nother
is.
ball game.
Oh, I
another
know it.
Setup.
And I even said to my daughter, I said, I don't think they have chickens. She said, all farms have chickens. Okay, all farms don't have chickens, okay?
Or if they do have chickens, they might just be the ones
The
that have the
exotic ones.
feathers that go all over their head and they can't see where they're going.
That would be cute.
They are
I
pretty
think
cute.
I think that would be nice. Okay, so no chickens, but we have pork, so we can do pork
Yes.
chops and pork bacon. We can find
Brats.
out about, and what else?
Brats.
Brats. Oh, brats are
Yes.
excellent, yes. And then also we could do like pork shoulder,
Yes.
right? Now, so do people come and get a half a pig?
Yep, they do, whole or half.
Oh.
Yeah. And some people actually call us and they take it themselves and do hog roasts.
I've always, when I lived in Hawaii, I went to one. That was oh my God, the meat just fell off the bones. It is so good, but I'm thinking, we can't bury one here. How do you can't bury a pig, can you? Because you have to put it in the ground, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't put it in the oven or nothing.
No, mostly in the ground would be the way to go. I think some people have done halves, like on a smoker before.
Right,
But,
okay, and then let it just fall to pieces.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God, that's so good. I'm hungry
I mean, you
thinking
could dig a
about
hole in the lawn, I guess.
Oh.
So my folks did that for their
Did they?
wedding anniversary, or for their wedding night. They roasted a hog, and so
Oh.
it'll be their 40. Last year was their 40th. This year will be their 41st. And so
Oh.
because of COVID, we didn't get to have a party, and we're threatening to throw
have
another one in,
Yeah.
throw one in the
Like you
ground.
said, we're threatening to have, we're threatening to do a lot of things this year that we couldn't
Yes,
do last year. I'll
exactly.
tell you, and I'm ready to do it. So just think that you have, over there they had banana leaves or whatever it was that they used and got that all done. So how would we do that if we were to do something like that in a backyard? I mean, you dig up a big old hole.
Dig a hole, start a fire, and then Dad used green corn stalks instead of the
Okay,
banana leaves.
Instead of banana leaves. Okay, and then did you line it with that?
Yep.
And then you put wood and, do you put charcoal in there?
Yep, wood or charcoal, whatever you want for your heat, and let it burn down. And then corn, put your hog in, another layer of corn, and then they put burlap
On
over
top
top
of
of
that.
it, and then buried it.
Oh, and it won't go out?
Nope, it just pulls just enough oxygen out that it doesn't get too hot, but it just stays warm there. And I think they did it 18, 20
I was
hours.
gonna say, it'd take a
Yeah,
while,
so it's
but-
about
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's what they did in Hawaii too. Of course, they're experts at that.
Yeah.
But it looks like they said it was overnight. Like they did from one morning to the next morning. Well, I mean, I'm so excited to know you folks. I really am. And I just couldn't wait to get you out in the studio because there's so many people that don't realize that they can get meat and it's affordable. It's affordable. I mean, and I'm not going to say any prices or anything, but I was like, oh, this is going to probably be a whole lot. I was so surprised. It's a lot cheaper because when I go to the store, especially for oxtails, which is my number one, oxtails is like four rocks on a thing for $20.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I don't want to tell you that because I don't want you to take my price. But yeah, and I kept thinking there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And so when I met you guys, it just kind of like came home for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be filling up my freezer because inflation is happening. And what people don't know is that even though we got done with COVID, we are still in trouble. We really are, and we need to stock up and keep fattening the cows and the pigs, so we can keep getting the meat.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to go on for another year or so before we can say that we're back in a good spot, or 2 years. You never know, because just think about it. Everything stopped for a whole year. When that happens, there is no way that things are just going to get back on top of things. It's not going to happen, and so that's what I'm cautioning a lot of the small businesses that I work with. I'm saying, please be cautious, with your money. Make sure you're putting reserves away. Make sure you're making sure that you have good inventory, because we don't know if something is going to shut down or whatever, and the way inflation is going, you may not be able to buy the stuff that you need for inventory. And so it's really important that we really watch what's going on and listen. I'm not saying, because I'm not a fan of the news. So I don't watch it all the time, but I do research, and I look at different things, and I watch certain things that I hear, and I'm hearing that, within 2 years, we're going to have a problem trying to get things. Right now, they have problems getting wood and materials and things like that. Well, if they're having trouble doing that we won't have toilet paper pretty soon, right? So, we have to really be thinking about this. And people were really greedy when COVID came along, and they went and bought up all this stuff. But so just watch just be cautious.
Yes.
Just, check out things, because I want to be able to buy meat from you for a long time.
Yeah.
And I want other people to be able to do the same. So this is Setting D Ranch. Clarissa and Dan, they're awesome people. They educate you on the cuts of meats that you can buy, but also they just, they're great people, a great business owner. So I really thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Dan and Clarissa, for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to have the meat come to you.
Yeah.
And I think, and Dan, I love your outfit. I love it. I want to take a complete picture of Dan so I can put it along with this interview. But thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys for joining us. I look forward to talking with you at the next setting. So stay safe, watch your trends in your businesses, and make sure that you're on top of things. Make sure that you're not just allowing your business to run, but you're making sure that you're running the business. All right? So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. I just have to wait for him to tell me.